We live in an amazing time where science is proving the true power of the mind and catching up with what many used to believe was pseudoscience or deception. See, I grew up hearing about the power of your mind, but thought it was just people trying to empower me, not anything biological, legitimate, or based on science. That is until I took my first psychology course, which I found so interesting that then I dedicated almost 2 decades to studying the field of psychology and personal development. Much of what I learned in psychology felt right and inspired me to question my reality and explore the field even more. I was intrigued by the research being done of the power of visualization, for example, the power of thoughts and the belief systems, the power of the influence of those around us that we had on them and they have on us. I also love to learn about how our patterns dictate most of our lives, how positive thinking and happiness can actually influence every aspect of our being. In fact, I started applying these things to my own life. I started visualizing, using affirmations, and changing my thought patterns, and changing negative people that influenced the way I saw the world and what I wanted to create in my reality. This was transformational, to say the least. And it's a journey that I still live in, that I'm constantly learning and growing. See, there are many things that I have used these principles of psychology for, which are part of what people call the law of attraction. In fact, I spoke my reality into existence. After failing college, I was telling people that I would go to graduate school and open up a center for youth. And at the time, it was not only unrealistic, but it was told by many around me, that even family members, that it was just a fantasy. However, I decided that even if it was just a fantasy, it was a fantasy that I would create in my own mind until it felt so real that I would become that I would become that person that created that reality that I wanted to see. Therefore, I would visualize it. I would use affirmations. I would speak of it as if it was a reality. In other words, I was preparing for what I believe was the inevitable of me obtaining my dreams and my desires to impact people, to impact myself as well and those around me. You see, the mind does not know the difference between what you see in your mind's eye and what's happening in your reality. If you visualize enough and affirm it, your unconscious mind will look for ways to create that. So as I dove into the field of psychology, I also learned about the interconnectedness of things that psychology was trying to explore. For example, if you look at twins that were separated at birth and then ended up with the same careers, same type of cars, and families with similar names, or how we can manipulate our intelligence, our ability, physically and mentally, and also how we feel, our health, and other things drastically just through our thoughts, and how our thoughts unconsciously and consciously influence our reality, and how we influence others' emotions and they influence us, how our heart is a prolific electromagnetic force in the human body that we're just beginning to understand the influence that it has on us and those around us, how we can visualize, and how our visual and auditory stimulus is just different frequencies that are coming from all over the place, and how our mind interprets that to how we see and what we hear. In fact, we can have the same people, different people, next to each other, 20 different people seeing the same thing, and we can all interpret it very different. We can hear the same thing and interpret it very different depending on our thought process, our experiences, and things like that. So it was just understanding that there's this powerful tool that we can use called the brain. And there's still a lot of research to be done that is relevant to our belief system and how it affects our reality and the power of the brain. However, keep in mind that the field of psychology is fairly new. This is especially true because the branch of positive psychology is a lot newer, since psychology, for example, spent the majority of its years looking at what was wrong with people instead of what was right and how to improve it. In other words, we live in an exciting time because we're just starting to truly harness and understand what we're truly capable of through our brain and through the powers that we have, and how we can influence those things around us and influence them to create the reality that we want. It's crazy because it's been stated that 80% of what we know as a reality in 20 years will have been debunked. Therefore, I look forward to how the world and our understanding of the continue to evolve, continue to understand a deeper understanding of what we're truly capable of. And I hope this course can give you a good foundation and understanding of how you can transform your life, how you can create your reality. Because again, for me, I can look back until who I was. I can look back until my thought process. I can look at pictures and I don't even recognize that person anymore. Obviously, I look at it and say, yeah, that's me. But I don't recognize that person of where he was at emotionally, mentally, and even physically. Why? Because I've changed and grown so much. And I've created things in my reality that back then would have been something outside of this world. It would have been a fictional story for me. Even if I look at 5 years ago, because I keep harnessing this tool to keep pushing my limits, to keep pushing my reality, to create, to then give to the world and also impact not only those around us, but myself and how I want to live my own life.
We've worked with a variety of populations, from deeply spiritual to in-the-box corporate. So when discussing the concepts and tools used in this course, whether you're teaching a program, speaking, or talking to your family, it's important to consider your audience's worldview. The truth is that not everyone will understand or be comfortable with talking about vibration, or the universe, or the notion that our thoughts create our life. The good news is that there is legitimate science that backs up law of attraction teachings, including brain science, neuroscience, and psychology. The underlying meaning and message are the same, but the terminology and method of explaining it is different. So, for example, while the law of attraction practitioners may use words like energy or vibration, in psychology, we may use the words emotional state to represent the same thing. So in this section, we're going to be providing you the psychology and the science behind the law of attraction. Not only will this provide you with an alternative method of communicating what you're learning, it will also deeply enhance your own understanding and experience of what's happening in your body and brain when you're attracting what you experience in your life. The topics we will cover include how our focus is determined by a part of our brain called the Reticular Activating System, how affirmations literally rewire the neural structure in our brains, how brain science explains why visualization actually works, how the benefits of positive thinking are supported by studies in the science of happiness, how the psychological concept of the self-fulfilling prophecy explains why we get our expectations. And we'll explore the biology of emotions and how understanding what's going on in your body and brain will help you better control your reactions to external situations and the chemical factory that exists within your own body.
I hope this course will transform your life as I know it will. I hope you follow it through, and at the end, you can see that you've changed your life drastically. Thank you.